I want to talk about this supposed grand deal that actually might be going down this weekend. It's the article I just read, but there's at least talk or suspicion of this potential grand deal, obviously, between Republican leadership and the president. John Boehner was on Rush Limbaugh's show yesterday and said, and I'm quoting him now, "Well, Rush, there is no deal publicly, no deal privately, there is absolutely no deal." Now, where there might not be a deal yet, obviously everybody would be cheering it, but there's obviously discussions taking place. So why aren't these discussions made public? And whatever happened in transparency, especially something this big that potentially affects the market, affects businesses, all this kind of stuff?
Well, I think that's a great question, Alex, and it's one that, I think Republicans have been saying for weeks. We had the courage to come out and have a plan, and in fact, we're the only group that's bringing any leadership to this table. We've put out a plan. We voted on that plan, which is cut, cap, and balance, and we've sent it over to the Senate. We've encouraged Mr. Reid to bring that up for a vote. We've encouraged the president to encourage the leadership in his party to sign that, because basically that moves us in the right direction, gives the president what he was asking, and he asking for an increase in the debt ceiling. We gave him a increase in the debt ceiling, but we also, more importantly, set up a pathway to, not to let this country have to go into bankruptcy. And so what's so frustrating, I think, for Leader Boehner, or Speaker Boehner, is the fact that the president, always wants to talk behind closed doors, because he doesn't necessarily want to, for his party to hear some of the things that he supposedly is saying in these, where he's talking about cuts. And so, I think it's time for the president to quit hiding over in the White House and quit having press conferences and I think deliver the American people a plan, and we welcome the president to do that.
Well, President Obama is obviously using his pulpit and his position and going to the media and making his case, but I'm not really seeing the Republicans making that case. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I had Congressman Farenthold on last week, having Congressman Mike Rogers from Alabama on Tuesday. I had Senator DeMint on the other day. I don't know if it's just they're not getting as much media time or what. Obviously, I'm having you on today. But it just doesn't seem like they're making the case. Now, I don't know if that's the leadership or not. Now, Senator Coburn said something very interesting, and I asked Senator DeMint about this the other day and to get his thoughts on it. Do you think the Republican leadership, both in the House and the Senate, obviously the House, you have complete control with, I think, 234 seats or 231 seats. In the Senate, you don't. You're the minority. But the leadership should still be united, and that's my personal thinking on anything. The only way you get things done is through unity, and through unity of party and message and all that kind of stuff. Do you think Republican leadership, both in the House and the Senate, need a moment of clarity, as Senator Tom Coburn said the other day, or do you think they're moving in the right direction? They just keep getting kneecapped?
Well, I think certainly being a united party is important, and I think one of the things that kind of caught us off guard was we were working on a plan here in the House, and been very transparent about that plan. This plan is a mirror of the budget that we passed a few months ago, and right in the middle of that, we had a couple of things happen. We had the McConnell-Reid plan kind of floated out there, but basically, which is no plan, just kicking the can down the road and giving the president some more room on his credit card to keep spending, which he's obviously very good at. But then the other is on the very day that we voted on the cut, cap, and balance. We had this Gang of Six plan come out, and I think that kind of is representative of the fact that there's not a consensus on this issue. But I think to Speaker Boehner's credit, he's been very, very clear to the president. Here's our plan. If you've got a plan, we would love to for you to put that in writing, and like you said, and make it transparent to the American people. But the only people that have a plan, and only adults in the room right now, particularly, are the leadership in the House and in the Republican conference. Do
you fear at all that Speaker Boehner will will submit to the administration and the pressure and all this, obviously everything that goes with it, do you think he'll submit and give up the whole mantle of the cap and balance, which the Senate actually tabled today, voted down today? Vote was 51 to 46. Do you think that he's going to give up this whole mantle and try to get, as much of that type of legislation as possible and just get some sort of deal done? And my second question to that is any deal better than no deal at all?
Well, I think this is an opportunity. I think what people don't understand here is that the debt limit is a symptom. The problem here is the deficit spending, and so basically we have two issues running parallel here. One, to raise the debt ceiling so that we can avoid defaulting, but more importantly is taking some big ideas and some big solutions to take us to a place where we don't have to do this in the future, because quite honestly there are a lot of folks think that we have a couple of years and if we don't fix this and at the rate we're going, we're going to be a Greece or we're going to be a Portugal or we're going to be in Ireland. And so I think what's in play here is that, and I think the American people. It was interesting. I think it was a CNN poll that showed almost 2/3 of the American people support cut, cap, and balance. And so I think the American people are a little bit perplexed that they're tightening their belt. They're learning they're taking steps to live within their means. They're a little perplexed that the United States Congress is actually debating whether to do this or not, because I think the American people have a consensus out there. We just can't continue down this road. And so to get something, I think most of my colleagues, particularly on the House side, feel like that if you don't get something big here, that you're not doing the country you're doing the country a disservice.
Now, is there more pressure on the Republicans? Obviously, on the American people is the grand answer, but politically speaking, is there more pressure on Speaker Boehner in the House and Senate Republicans, the Republican Party as a whole, or is it on the administration? Because the budget deal, budgets and stuff like that, it's not really the job of the president constitutionally. The purse strings are controlled, and actually Chuck Schumer's trying to change this and convince the president to go and invoke the 14th Amendment loophole, which is unconstitutional from what I understand. But the purse strings are controlled by you guys in the House, and that's the way it should be. And it goes to the Senate, and then the president, approves it, and then the money goes where it goes.
So what we've done is we did our job, and we that's what we did on Tuesday. We passed a bill that would raise the debt ceiling, but would also begin to cut spending immediately, but also to start to move spending as a percentage of GDP more in line with the revenue stream that historically has been about 18% of GDP. We sent that to the Senate. The Senate and I've been busy this afternoon. I didn't realize they had taken a vote on that. But I think it's up to the leadership in the White House and Senator Reid that if you're going to reject the House version, you should counter back with your proposal. Otherwise, we're just negotiating with ourselves, and quite honestly, the House and Speaker Boehner feels like we have begun this process, but the politics for the Democrats, they just want to keep spending, and they're stumbling over any kind of spending cuts, but they're certainly more than willing to talk about raising taxes at a time when we don't need to be taking any more capital out of our economy.
Well, the problem is never just raising taxes. Obviously, some of that might need to happen, but some of it's just going to happen automatically when the Bush tax rates expire, the Bush-era tax rates expire, not the Bush-era tax cuts, because you can't cut a tax and it somehow just comes back to a tax rate that stays. But the problem that a lot of people are seeing on the right, the conservatives, Sean Hannity's talk a lot about this, Mark Levin, all these guys, is that it seems that the Republicans are basically going against themselves and fighting against themselves and debating against themselves since they are the ones putting out the proposal, and that's not me speaking as a partisan, that's me speaking as fact. I just haven't seen any kind of real proposal. Even the Gang of Six is more talking points, and Senator DeMint said that and confirmed that on my show the other day. But Harry Reid and Dianne Feinstein, two of the most liberal senators in the Senate, and Harry Reid obviously the top dog there. But they supported a balanced budget amendment in '97. Now all of a sudden it doesn't apply or should not be done or whatever the situation is. So I want you to talk more about this because the Republicans aren't saying this. I found out almost by accident about this and me doing my own research. But the Republicans aren't really talking about this. So why is accountability and hypocrisy not being invoked here?
Yeah, well, I tell you, one of the things that, and I think you mentioned it, is we're really swimming upstream with mainstream media, and they just will not go back and call, for example, the president, on his position in the past on the debt ceiling, or Harry Reid's. I mean, the list is long, and again, what is, I think, frustrating for the American people right now, and I think it's frustrating for House Republicans, is that for some reason people still think that there's time for rhetoric here and not time that we don't need to take any action. It's 13 days till August 2nd. But more importantly, I mean, this president has almost doubled the public debt in the first 3 years of his presidency, and he's on track to double it, triple it before he leaves office. And so this is we have a spending problem, and it's not a little one. When you're borrowing 42 cents for every dollar that you spend in this country, you've got a problem. Families can't do that. Businesses can't do it, and certainly our government cannot continue to do that. And I think what's frustrating to me is all of this talk and no do. And in fact, in Texas, West Texas, where I come, is when people like that, we say he's all talk and no do, and it's kind of really where the president is right now. He's all talk and no do.